Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Cilinix Crypto. Hope you're all doing great. Hope you're having a great Friday, and welcome to this new video. We'll talk about the crypto markets. We'll talk about, or at least I will try to talk about everything you need to know. There's this glow on me, which is quite interesting, but try to ignore it. But no, we're going to do a full update. All right, we're at a pretty crucial level here, at least for Bitcoin, and most coins are still correlated to Bitcoin, although I must say that some coins are actually uncorrelating themselves, especially over the last 2 hours or so. So that's always interesting. So we'll definitely talk about that towards the end of the video. But outside of that, we'll talk about the fundamentals. We'll talk about Bitcoin. We'll talk about XRP and then some altcoin action. So let's get right into it. Like I said, I'll try to tell you everything you need to know. We did a live stream earlier this afternoon about the PCE price index. That was relatively bearish. Maybe that caused some of this bearish pressure that we've seen today in crypto, which was, pretty severe. But ultimately, I think it was primarily because of this, and that is the stock market has dropped down even lower right here. Pretty big drop. We filled the gap to the upside here, so we actually got some bullish pressure at the start. But then dropped down by an immense amount, and I think in general the main culprit of that is just in general heightened tensions in the Middle East again. Seems to be flaring up again there, which is obviously not great news. And trade war tension. Obviously, April the 2nd is coming up next week. We'll have tariffs then, and hopefully at some point of time they will figure out a way how to stop this reciprocity with all of these tariffs, and we can leave that behind us, so we can actually have some more bullish equity markets, all right? Because that is still one of the main things that Bitcoin reacts to. So that's why Bitcoin dropped down. But in a sense, one of the key reasons why we are at such an important level is that we have filled the CME gap, all right? Perfectly, by the way, if you longed at the bottom of the CME gap here. Beautiful trade so far, even though it's only up about $400, but still. But that's, the reaction to this level is going to be very, very important to show the strength of Bitcoin. Bitcoin hasn't been doing too great over the last 24 hours. Basically, what we saw yesterday is that the Coinbase Bitcoin premium, which we had for the entire week, and which was one of the main reasons why I was slightly bullish, disappeared. Outside of that, the S&P 500 US equities are at support, or at least close to it, but we haven't really seen any bounce. So the fundamentals at this point of time are still not great, all right? And that is more of a reason why we need a strong bounce from this. We still have some imbalances with the bearish move right here. So like one of the key things, like the most important level is obviously the CME gap. So we have filled that. That's great. But now, what I would love to see to actually get some sort of a bullish weekend, because that is what we're aiming for right now. I think next week will still be very unstable, all right? And next week will be very volatile with all of the news that week. That is something I think we cannot avoid. However, what I do think we can have is some sort of a bullish weekend, all right? Starting in the Asian session, probably Saturday morning, into most likely Sunday evening, where we actually have some rallies and some relief, all right? That happens sometimes when one of the key reasons why the market is bearish equities, all right? And equities are obviously closer during the weekend, so sometimes you see that. But what I would like to see, and I'm using fair value gaps right now, which is definitely an inferior way to measure imbalances, but you can do it. I could also take a look at this real quick. Yeah, there's also a single print. So for me, the most important level to actually say, we can actually have some bullish momentum is this level right here at 84,800, I'd say. 84,700, 84,800. The reaction to that level is going to determine how I view this weekend and how I view Bitcoin. I think overall Bitcoin is holding on fine. I think Bitcoin is going to hold this CME gap bottom. It's going to consolidate, and then, probably Sunday we'll have some bigger moves. But talking about the market, I think 84,800 is the level to break above that. If we can break above that, I think we'll have a pretty decent weekend, because the Bitcoin dominance is back up. But still, that level, I think we can have some good action this weekend and later this evening when the US equity market closes. So keep your eyes on that. And if we get a strong rejection from that, from an imbalance, a imbalance to the upside like that, that's insanely bearish, right? So keep an eye on that. We can definitely drop down lower if we get a very bad reaction from that in the next 2 hours. But for now, I'd say it's most likely we'll fill the imbalance, get some more bullish momentum, but in general remain stable around this level on top of 84,000. Those are my thoughts on Bitcoin. Talking about XRP is a bit of a different story. XRP, as most of you know, has lost quite a lot of momentum, is not looking great. We're at support right now. We're at the value area low at 2.15. Unless we get some massively bad news, I do suspect that this level is going to hold as well. So for XRP, zooming in a bit, I would expect some stability, basically the same as Bitcoin, and it's also very correlated to Bitcoin. And at some point of time, I do think we can still have that move up to fill all of these imbalances. I mean, there's quite a lot of imbalance in this move down. But we shall see. All right, so that's my verdict on XRP. Talking about some other altcoins, like I said, some altcoins are uncorrelating themselves right now, and there's also some more, strange altcoins, I'd say. I think you need to keep an eye on. One of the main ones that I've had on my radar for some time, I mean, if we look at outperformance here, is SUI. All right, most of these I don't find interesting enough, but SUI actually is quite interesting because technically SUI is still bullish. All right, you can see right now, first of all, we're still holding the level we broke out above, between 2.5 and 2.45, so that's great news. But we're actually actually on top of the 30-day VWAP as well, which is very often a level you'd need to. I mean, you can see how respected that thing is. It's very respected. So that's usually a level you want to stay on top of if you want to be bullish. And we're not only doing that, we're actually doing it with quite a lot of volume. And like I said, in terms of structure, we're still quite strong as well. So I think SUI is one of the main altcoins I think you need to keep an eye on. Alternatively, some other altcoins I personally have an eye on are still Maker, which, by the way, we also bought in the Signal group. So if you're interested in trades like this, consider joining that. We made some nice profits on that and are still in that trade right now. But outside of that, also Grass, I still think is in some sort of an uptrend here, even though Grass is a very tricky crypto to trade. So keep that in mind. EOS, all right, the very old coin, so you spell it like this. Also still relatively strong, but I'm personally not trading it for now. Definitely a coin to keep on your watch list. And TON is still very strong. As you can see right here, TON is very much still in an uptrend. So yeah, but that's what I think you need to know. All right, so those are the coins I think you need to keep an eye on. I'll keep you updated on the market, of course. I'll be back tomorrow morning very early, and I'll try to keep you updated over the course of today in my Telegram, in my Discord group, and on X as well. So make sure to join those and follow me on X. And I'll see you all there. I'll see you all in my next videos. Have a great Friday. Have a great weekend in advance. And bye.